Welcome to the Golden Chair, a place where we always try by all means to give you information. We give you as much information as possible, particularly Black people. And we want you may begin with government or straight with the private sector, but even if you're doing well with government, we want you to transition and see other opportunities beyond the private sector. Again, today we are bringing an amazing guest, a good friend. I've known him since 1995 when I was 19 years old, young and energetic at the time. He was also young and energetic at the time. James Martin, Sabona James. As we always do, have our co-host, my co-host, and our host, Matapelo, Sabona Matapelo. Dumelang.
Dumelang Likai. Good day.
Thank you. James, thank you for coming again. I know your passion on on economic development. I know your passion on developing local people. I mean, if I may tell you, my viewers, James did something very interesting. I think it was 22, 23 years ago. He owns a farm, about 2,000 odd hectares. But he said, these people, I grew up with them, who are the tenants in the farm. He gave 600 hectares, gave away for free 600 hectares to the farm tenants, the people he grew up with in the farm. And he said, I grew up with them. They grew up here. They are my brothers. They are my sisters. And he gave that away for free. No, without any, before we even have EFF speaking about these issues, James had already done it at his farm. It's good to have you, James. Tell us, broadly about yourself. I know you. We've been partners for several years at Vantage and several other businesses. Yeah. But my viewers don't know you. Our viewers don't know you. Tell us a bit about yourself and the journey of transformation that you.
Thanks, Nhlahla. It's an honor to be here this evening, and hopefully I can add some value for the years and years of experience I've been privileged enough to enjoy. We started out as community development workers on the South Coast, and I think from there, my intention to support emerging Black enterprise before it was called what it's called today began. And I think I grew up on a farm, and I think that's where my understanding of the plight of the majority of South Africans was given birth. And it's from that early beginning that, without knowing it, I've had this commitment to growing the economy of South Africa, but doing it in a way, again, the word transformation is recent. We ran the country's first preferential procurement workshop in 1994. So 96. It just shows you how long we've been trying and how it's evolved. Anyway, so we worked together and we were consulting to the public sector. And over the years, I've held various positions at a national level. I was on the national taxi choice, the national executive of Santaco. At one point, I was the national project manager for road safety. But over the years, I've always found I've been able to balance the needs of Black business, of helping Black taxi operators, assisting where I can. And over the more recent times, I've been assisting the commercial farmers, mostly the white farmers, in understanding transformation and business and understanding how, at the end of the day, we actually all want the same thing.
That's right.
We moms and dads, we want a place for our kids, a safe place for our kids to grow up. Right. But it's been so skewed, and I get a lot of whites still saying, but I didn't participate in apartheid. It's like, but you did, you still are.
Yeah.
The education, the intergenerational wealth that you're still benefiting from, the fact that you've never really been hungry, plays on your mind, gives you a perspective on the world. And those things all add up to providing, I think, a different perspective on the world between our Black and white. And often my white colleague come to me and say, James, don't rock the boat. And I'm saying, that's just a little boat, you guys. I'll show you a boat.
That's right.
So there's an army of people out there who need a leg up, who need more support than the guys who've already made it. So up until now, I'm lucky enough to have been appointed as the District Economic Development and Planning Head of Department in Umgungundlovu. it's a privilege to be there because it gives me the opportunity now to do the kinds of things that I've been wanting to do, and it gives me a platform to effect the kinds of things I've wanted to effect while in the private sector, now being in the public sector.
Wow. Yeah. An amazing journey. Just a follow-up question, James. Just broadly, I know there is a lot of plans that you've got for the district of Umgungundlovu, but there's something happening in the N3 corridor that you always speak about. Just take us through that, but broadly, what would you like to envision to see over the next 10 years?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if one can contextualize the N3 corridor between Umsunduzi or maybe Mooi River and Pofana and the port of Durban, it's the gateway to Africa, to the SADC region. It's the new Midrand of South Africa. Investors are getting calls every day from people from Johannesburg wanting to come and live in the Midlands where there's no traffic, there's a nice climate, there's great schools. So apart from the residential component, we are developing two major interchanges, major internodes. One is the Camperdown, the other is the Hilton area, where collectively we're sitting at over R1 billion worth of investment, half from the private sector, half from government. And especially the Camperdown area, I think watch that space. We've freed up now 700 hectares through the spatial development framework, and that's going to be the next growth area. We're just unlocking the various infrastructure projects with government, so that means that the housing developments can take place. And it's a little bit of insider trading here, but we're looking at developing suburbs now through a crowdfunding model to allow middle-class blacks to invest in a new town. It's a first of its kind, as far as I'm aware. So we're exploring all those new models. It's going to be smart, it's going to be green, and we already have over R500 million of investment just in the Camperdown area. In the Hilton College area, there's a huge new development going up R2.5 billion with the private sector investment. So for the colleagues out there who are looking at investing in property, looking at investing in various new opportunities, because it's becoming a logistics hub, there will be downstream and upstream opportunities related to that. So I'm saying to the colleagues, to the people watching tonight, watch the space, and I think watch it carefully because it is a growth area. And fortunately, it falls under myself and the development agency at the district, and it gives us a platform to fast track and to make sure we maximize the opportunities for Black business people.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, James. You know, you're saying 2.5 billion rand in Hilton. I know we're contributing a little bit of that, through our school. But I'm quite sure that 90% of those commitments are typically coming from the white firms, white property developers. How do we make sure that we facilitate? I'm hijacking you, I'm putting you on the spot, but how do we make sure that it's not just Nhlanhla, but there is 20 Nhlanhlas who are investing in the various areas. You know, I'm in the schooling sector, education sector, but there are other people who are doing various other things. There are manufacturers who want to open a small factory, etc., etc. How do we make sure that we get that going? Do we facilitate it through DFIs? How do we do it? Is there a plan that maybe the district or even broader than that or bigger than that at a provincial level?
I think the starting point for that discussion is to say, what is there that we can work with? So for example, last week I had a meeting with the major logistics companies. And I said to them, what are the things that would make your businesses more competitive? Why don't we share the kinds of services that you would need? Whether it's security, whether it's valet, whether it's fitting radios. So we've identified 10 directly linked opportunities to what's existing. At the moment, they're doing it themselves. And I'm saying to them, you have to outsource that. So I'm saying as a start, to take what's there is the easiest. Because we're building on what's there. You've got a secured and a very solid client base being the listed company. So as a starting point, there will be opportunities coming through to service what's already there. On the other side then, is like I was saying, is for this housing development, we adamant that there will be no large single developer. We're looking at the models where we will be encouraging Black investors to come in, and we will go public with that soon, so we can get people to come and invest. I think in terms of the DFIs, I think 100%, that is the way to go. And we, as the Economic Development Agency in the district, where Mr. Mazibuko is the acting CEO, and myself at the district in charge of the economy, we welcome investors. Anyone who comes through our door wanting to contribute to the economy, they may have very little in terms of equity to add or capital in their pocket. We will do whatever we can to support them and to find the space. We'll roll out the red carpet. If you've got 1,000 rand, I mean, don't quote me. My door's going to be busy tomorrow, but we will.
Yeah.
If you have an idea and it has merits, and you don't come with your hats in your hands, there's an attitude there that we're watching for. If you come there and say, I've got this idea, and you haven't done your homework, we're not here to do your business plans for you. Bring something that's got tangible, solid business case, and we will make it happen as best as we can.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Leave us your questions as we hand over to Matape in Bloemfontein. Leave us your questions. Tell us where you are watching us from. We'd like to hear from you. Are you in Free State? Are you in Eastern Cape? Are you in Durban? Where are you? In Pietermaritzburg. We'd like to hear from you. Cape Town, Northern Cape, wherever you are. Tell us where you are watching us from. We've got James Martin, an old friend, old partner, with us this
old
afternoon.
Guy.
That's a better.
Mr. Martins, I think what I'd like to hop into just while we're there is just briefly, if you could just give us your knowledge and allow us to pick into your brain regarding the importance of flea markets and allowing vendors and giving them access to markets using flea markets and how that contributes to the economy. Yeah,
interesting question. Maybe I'll start the response by saying our country, unfortunately or fortunately, has been dominated in the retail space by the big developers, the old mutuals. I can say it because it's true. The old mutuals, the Liberties, and they've come up with a formula that works. Plug and play. They'll take you into your suburb, they'll analyze how many houses there are, your average income, your demographics, and they will tell you you can do 300 square meters of clothing, 50 square meters of takeaway chicken, right down, it's scientific. They'll plug and play. And what they do with that is destroy the local entrepreneurial energy of that place. For every shopping center, I'm told we're destroying 200 at least SMMEs around that shopping center.
Wow.
One can argue that you're creating jobs, etc., but the wealth of that community is leaving via the multinationals, via the franchises, not to be seen in the community again, that money. So for me, it hurts as a starting point to see shopping centers going up, and I think we confuse that for development. I don't see it as development.
That's right.
So on the top layer, you've got the multinationals coming in and soaking the cash out of that local economy. Then in the South African situation, specifically in KZN, your spaza shop dynamic has changed. And I'm saying this without prejudice, without judgment whatsoever. But your foreign nationals are highly organized. And the way that they're buying in bulk makes them really competitive. And I respect them for that. Tina bantu bamnyama nje sinobona it keeps us down.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing that amongst the other foreign nationals because they pulled together. The Greeks, the Italians, when they came to South Africa, that's how they expanded. They put their cousin in a corner cafe, grew him, he then put someone, and that's how they nurtured each other. And unfortunately, it's not something we see in our local environment. So what we've got at the moment is we've got the multinationals coming on, the big guys coming in here. We've got another layer of spaza shops down here. And somewhere in between, there's a gap. And I'm asking myself, where do local Black professionals, entrepreneurs find expression? It's not an easy environment for them because you can't compete with Nando's. You can't compete at the SMME, at the spaza shop kind of level. So where do they find expression? And we're saying this may be just an outlet. It's not the end game. It's not the solution. But we imagine if we could give 50 entrepreneurs in Imbali an outlet. It's a model that's worked amongst the flea markets. It's successful. I know people who've raised their children selling jewelry on a Saturday. You know. So we're saying let's take, I'm using Mr. Kambula's words here, let's take a sports field and turn it into a shopping center.
Yeah.
We don't need the buildings. We don't need the rates. We don't need all the capital. We can create it into a shopping center. And that's our intention. So we're saying there's a space that we believe we've been speaking about for a long time.
That's right.
And we just felt now is a good time to do it. The colleagues we've got around the table now, I think, is a really powerful team. And there's no reason why we can't launch it and see where it goes organically. And in that process, start supporting. And we're not saying it's the local chiefs and yamas, etc. It may well be, but it's the people who feel like they've got a slightly more developed business case that we'd like to give them a place to find expression and to start making money in their community. South Africans, for the most part, spend 20, 30, 40% of their salary on public transport. It's criminal.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. So let's bring the markets to the places where people live so that, you know, we cut down on those sort of unnecessary expenses. And we create a sense of spirit. We create a sense of community in that community. I'm not sure. Umbuzo wakho landelayo wisizwa ungashayi ngesizulu
Yeah, I think it was important for you to mention the last phrase because I was definitely going to add some Sotho in there. I think you definitely called me out there. I think it's very important what you're stating to say we often find our local vendors somewhere in the middle or even at the bottom of the food chain to say, how do we put them together? How do we create a space in which they can find themselves and with an opportunity that is presented to them in a way that allows them to participate in the real economy? So I think the follow-up question would be, now that you've mentioned how the tools and the solution that you're providing to include them and give them access to market. If there's one of, for whatever reason, one of the vendors that are watching and one of our viewers is interested in participating in things like such as flea markets or township markets, what would you emphasize as something significant or as a benefit of them attending such or being a part of such a platform to say, if you're a vendor out there and you're watching, why is it important for you to grab an opportunity like this and participate in a flea market?
Yeah, well, first of all, this one's free.
Good one.
As from next year, they'll have to pay to exhibit, but only a nominal fee. No, I joke. We're hoping that this will be a platform that will surprise people who've been giving birth to ideas for a while, that they can actually take the step and of a little bit of bravery to say, I'm gonna put my leather baskets out there or my leather belts out there. I'm gonna put my school uniforms out there and see, I'm gonna put the recipes I've been wanting to do, I'm gonna put them out there and see if I can commercialize them and see if the hobby that I have or the passion that I have, I can actually turn it into something that will feed my family. And I think, you know, we had a workshop all afternoon around the informal SME economy and how the issue of registration and SARS and all that is such an impediment to people's growth. And I'm hoping that through this process, we can bring in government support to the exhibitors so that not only are they there on their own, but we can bring in the Copters and the Etias and the other support people to assist with things like registration, understanding budgets. So there'll be a support that follows our exhibitors so that they're not just out there on their own. And we're hoping through that process, they can then grow with us on this journey.
Okay, yeah. I've got people watching. Matthew,
oh wow,
your son is there from the UK. Carol Linwili, Ndogozo, Biela Linditlevo, Philippa Gordon Lysat, Fundis Abraham, Bongan. They've got questions as well. So I'm going to read from the questions from quite a number of them. But there are two questions that I'd like to read. The economic development is one thing. That's Bongan Govesa. But land release process in local municipalities is a nightmare. There is no investors if there is no land. That's the first question. Let me give you the second one from Matthew. How do we ensure that any sort of economic development that occurs now continues to grow among the youth when regions like Johannesburg and Cape Town have been really good at attracting young hungry South Africans. In other words, how do we broaden, beyond, Cape Town and Johannesburg? So the first one was land. And the second one is how do we make sure that you spread it out?
Yeah. Thanks. The first question is something that I feel as part of the economic recovery for Umgungundlovu District, we've embarked on this journey of what we call, and we're doing it with departments like COGTA, it's called red tape reduction. Government, and I say this because I'm in government is good in slowing down development. Do you know that in South Africa, just to go on to the point that was raised, in KZN, if a building is going to take you 1 year, the planning processes, including the acquisition of land, can take up to 4 times. Water use licenses, environmental impact assessments. How do you attract investment under that? In the developed countries, it takes a quarter. So here it takes 4 times. And in the developed countries, it takes a quarter. It's not easy to attract investment under those circumstances. One of the things we've identified, and in the district, we are working with all the local municipalities, including Umgungundlovu Municipality, which is a substantial municipality, in speeding up the unlocking of land. I think Umgungundlovu hasn't released a piece of land. I think it's for 5 years now. 5 years, yeah. And there's lots of really high valuable land that is coming onto the market. So Umgungundlovu have embarked on almost at a policy level, a local policy level, is a rapid release of land to address that very aspect. So I think looking into the future, it's a good point. We're hoping to see, I'm estimating 15, 20 hectares of land coming up. Prime real estate in Pietermaritzburg. So that's a very valid point. And it goes hand in hand with all the planning regulations that local government is responsible for. And I can assure you, in this district, we started to get it right. Things are speeding up. Yeah.
The second question, how do we spread it out?
How do we spread it
at
out?
the national level, not just to the bigger cities?
Yeah. No, thanks for that. Our vision for what we have on the table today, the Pagama markets, is based, and again, we're talking, it's all new to us. It's territory we're not familiar with, so we're only going what we feel is going to work. We're trying to create a park run kind of model where you can be in Sandton, you can do a park run, you can do Imbali, and you can be at a Pagama market. You can be in Sabantu, Pagama market, Pofana. So we're hoping to create a model that works, a model that we can replicate. And in that way, locals from Sabantu, locals from Escortini can plan for something that's going to be taking place in their neighborhood monthly, hopefully weekly. We're not sure at this point how it's going to pan out. But I think it's a good point. It's not easy to get the youth, but we're hoping that through this process, we will target entrepreneurial youth who are a little bit brave and willing to put their crafts, their talents out there. And there will be a stage, by the way. We're going to test the stage. So you might even be a singer. Just saying, not you. You have to be local.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zetri is saying great discussion. The last question just from the viewers, Carol Wiley, I think. She's saying, how can we collaborate better as different agents of government? So she probably works for government. She's saying, in the meantime, there's no proper intergovernmental relations.
Well, that's a good point, Carol. I think even ourselves, that's something we're grappling with here. What we've done, we've made some ground rules to the way we're approaching this. First of all, whoever is part of the support team is not allowed to make any money out of it. I think that's a ground rule. This platform is being offered to the communities of these townships by people who have something to contribute. So, example, yourself, ourselves as the district, and whether it's COGTA, Film Commission. So we're looking to use it as a platform for collaboration. We've got AFRA on board, it's an NGO, Matlatini on board. And we're hoping that as time goes on, we will bring other partners on board. And we're hoping that through this, we can create a collaboration platform, especially bringing in the COGTAs, the ETIAs, ourselves, and the various local municipalities. So we're hoping that this will become a platform for where these agencies can talk to each other and support each other and find a voice. Whether it's we start making short films, whether we start making short music videos, who knows where it's going to go. But it's something that's organic, and this is with our launch now. We're wanting feedback from people to say, how do we now start to replicate it in a way that's not expensive, because government doesn't have money. It's not something that we're wanting to throw millions at it. We want it to become an organic thing. A parkrun doesn't cost any money, by the way. They're free. You've got a couple of volunteers, people come and they run, and it works globally. So that's the kind of model, is to create this as free as possible platform for people to come and participate and to exhibit. So we're hoping that as time goes on, Cogta will have a stand. Etia will have a stand there showing people what it is they're
What
able
is
to.
Etia, if you can tell them, because I know.
Okay, yeah. So Cogta is the cooperative governance, the provincial department, and Etia is the economic development and tourism.
That's right. Yeah.
So, provincial departments. Yeah. And we're all working together in what's called the DDM model. It's a district development model where municipalities are now starting to pull these departments together. So you don't have Agri doing something here, Land Affairs doing something there, and then you get to meetings and you all hear about what each other is doing, and yet they're all trying to do the same thing. So this is part of that, where we've got agriculture participating in this very venture. We're working with the Department of Agriculture, identifying local farmers through the development agency, and we're pulling them together and pooling our resources so that we don't end up duplicating and working in silos.
Okay, thanks a lot, James. Now let's get to the first one. Give us the details, the sectors. What do you want to achieve with this one specifically?
Yeah.
We're now not talking broadly.
Yeah.
Which sectors and how do people get?
Okay.
Get
Yeah. So again, and it's conceptual. We're saying we don't want it just to be a farmer's market.
Right.
It's tempting to call it, but it's not a farmer's market. So we're saying let's allocate, let's say 40% to fresh produce and to food. So we're working with, like I mentioned, a number of NGOs, government departments, and we've identified farmers who've got produce now, fresh, top quality, Woolies quality produce. But again, they're back into farm markets.
That's right.
So we'll be assisting them to bring their produce on the day. So if you're doing your Christmas shopping on the 19th of December, don't do your veg shopping before you've been to our market. That's right. Come and buy as much as you can from the local farmers. So that's the one component, is the fresh produce. And again, we'll see whether it evolves to fresh meat, who knows, eggs. We want to encourage any form of agriculture. And we're working at a radius of about 50 kilometers from this market. So we'll be providing, as the agency, we'll be providing transport for the goods to them to get it, at least, because that is a substantial cost. So we'll be supporting with that. Then we're saying on the manufacturing side is to say, if you have a craft, if you have something that you've been manufacturing, whether it's leather goods, whether it's clothing, whether you're a fashion designer, if you're making something, whether it's furniture, that's right, bring it, exhibit it, show your neighbors what the skill set you've got, show them the incredible skills and the passion you might have for a particular calling, whether it's woodwork, whether it's leather work. So there's the manufacturing component, and I have to put my glasses on. Client says, you have to read it. I said, well, you have to see me with my glasses on. There, the one that I forgot was sculptors.
Yeah.
If you do sculpturing. And then we said, where do the professionals? We know that social media is out there, right? Okay, but where do the professionals? So I might have a small bookkeeping company. I might be a graduate looking to start selling my bookkeeping services. We're wanting to attract the middle class, the people of the suburbs of Imbali, and then maybe next year Sabantu, etc. Come and put a table with your business cards. Promote the professional service you have. You may be a vet, who knows? IT, you may repair cell phones. Come and present it to your community. Let them meet them. Get that relationship going with your community so that you can start building a relationship and becoming a presence in the community that you grew up with. Let them start supporting you rather than going into town for the same quality goods that you yourself, as a young professional, old professional, have a passion and a calling for. So we've broken it up so it's not just limited to fresh produce. There will be space for food stalls. So if you love cooking and makwinya, you won't know what that is. But I mean, you know. But again, there will be a food venue, so you can come and have your breakfast, a nice cup of coffee, traditional food, take some cooked food home for the day. And then we feel that a bit of entertainment is a good idea. And again, we're toying with the idea of jumping castles. We're not sure. Again, for us, it's the first one.
Yeah.
But we're hopefully looking at something for the children to do on the day. Who knows? They might have bicycle rides, quad bike rides as we move up, as it develops. It might become a more broader entertainment kind of thing. For this one, we are going to have a microphone. So I know that there are going to be people with a little flash drive and they've got songs they want to sing and they just can't wait to get onto that stage. We know it. We'd like to give them a voice because we feel it'll add to the Christmas spirit and to see, you know, where that goes. So there will be music and a small stage just on the launch.
But even that, James, they will be exhibiting their services.
Absolutely.
Poetry, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are also exhibitors as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We found, you know, during lockdown, your creative arts, they're the shy people. They're scared to charge for their services. They're scared to say, I'm a great singer. Your engineers and your lawyers, they'll charge you just for opening the door.
That's true. That's true.
But an artist doesn't, you know, for them, it's so part of the journey is to try and beef up the artists. Whether you make home videos and you know, whether you do weddings and things like that, those are the kind of things we want to also give them a place to find expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last question on my side before I hand over to Matapelo. Abel Njilo is saying, I really appreciate the initiative that you have taken because it will give people from Imbali an opportunity to showcase their talents in terms of different business they are running at their backyard. But I believe the SMMEs should be supported and capacitated in identifying different opportunities. What future plans does Umgungundlovu District Council have in terms of budget to support up and coming entrepreneurs? Thank you.
Someone had to ask about money. No, that's not an easy question to answer. And I'm going to, because the district itself is not mandated to fund entrepreneurs. Your Italas, the other DFIs have a mandate to do that. What we can do is offer you, and there's a development agency at the district whose job it is to support you, to assist you with the business plans. And again, we don't have all that capacity to come to your business plan for you, but we'll certainly help you in preparing the business plan. And a critical thing that I think a lot of people do miss is the partnering. Why start a business from scratch? I'm saying this respectfully. If there's a white smallish business, the owner of that business is 5 years away from retirement. He's got a business that he's looking to offload. Those kinds of partnerships are invaluable. You're not starting from scratch, but you're walking into something that's already established. And I think that's something that, again, something we would like to assist in facilitating. But to answer your question, I'm sorry, it's the Italas, the Sifas of the world, and we'll link you up with them once we make contact.
So basically, your job is to facilitate.
Our job is to facilitate and to push government, to push our colleagues in government to make sure that we're not the stumbling block. I always say, government sees themselves sometimes as the goalkeeper. We've got to protect this and protect our environment and protect our bylaws. Government should be the striker. Government should be out there encouraging entrepreneurs, finding a place for them to unlock their town plan schemes, unlock their waste, their housing. We should be there almost ahead of them. That's right. Rather than at the back like a parachute saying, you know, we're going to make it difficult for you. So in the district, we're really trying to shift that, and we're working closely with the town planners and the developers to try and shift that as much as we can.
We are about to conclude, James. Matapelo.
Oh yes, Mr. Martins, great initiative. Personally, I do love it. I just wanted to say, so I'm sitting here as a vendor in KZN, and I want, with everything in me, I really, really want to grab this opportunity, but the effects of COVID have been so rough on my business, and I'm wondering, should I not participate? So I'd really like to hear your final words of encouragement for me sitting here, giving up on flea markets, giving up on the access that has been given to me into a market because I'm experiencing some difficulty in my business. So what would you say to me? I
think if you're talking about the issue of crowds, it's a very valid point, actually. And we have had discussion around that. And so there will be sanitizers as you enter. We will be taking there will be lockdown compliance, if I can call it that. We've got a large space. It's outdoors. So we're not wanting to gather people unnecessarily in confined spaces and too close to each other. So we are mindful of that. And it was one of the questions we thought, should we delay this initiative until we know where we're going with COVID? And then we just thought, the best way to get something done is to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
And we got to start somewhere. So we might look back and regret that decision. But on the other hand, we feel it's a risk worth taking just to start the process and to ask people to observe social distancing while they're there. And who knows, this may evolve into a web-based platform as well. At the agency, we have a web-based platform where we are supporting people like the arts and crafts, the tourism sector. My suspicion is that this will become a marketplace in the cloud. And that's what we would love, that by automatically participating in this on the ground, you become a stakeholder. You have a stall in the air, in the cloud, where you can also exhibit your products. So, yeah.
She's also saying, inspire someone to come into the exhibition.
Well, this has been a long time coming. And I'm going to say to the colleagues out there, if you have an inclination that this is something you could do, take the step. Just be a little bit brave, because here's an opportunity. This time around, it's free. We're going to give you the support that you may not have had. If you've been humming and hawing about it, take the leap of faith. Make those leather belts. Make enough for the day, and come and exhibit. Come and show what you're capable of. Take that chance, because you might know it might be a turning point in your life. Also, come and enjoy the day. Come, it's Christmas. There'll be music, families. There'll be good food, good coffee. It's just for the morning. Come and do your shopping, and then we hope to see you on the day. And then hopefully in the new year, roll it out to other townships.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, James. Now, just on my side, I also want to encourage people. I saw Spion was saying he's selling tigolosh and snakes so that people can, he wants to showcase so that people can become rich like him. But anyway, I just also want to encourage, when I spoke I think it was the first week of October, I said for the Black people to have who are currently employed by Unilever and Nampec and all those big companies, for them to take a risk, they need to know, James, that there is a market. They will never take a risk. They will sit in their comfort zones. They will continue to be senior managers and executives in those big corporates when they have a burning desire to manufacture their own products, unless there is a market. Now, to break the existing system and expect a particular company to support someone they don't trust is never going to happen. So the only way to do it is to say to the 250,000 people of Greater Edendale, we're creating our own market. Greater Edendale will include Imbali. Please come and support. But even those who are coming from the other suburbs and other townships, that takes us to about 600,000 people in Pietermaritzburg. But in Pietermaritzburg, there are probably about 450,000 Black people in Pietermaritzburg. Come and support these initiatives. Let's spend our money in our townships, to our Black brothers and Black sisters. So that once we begin to create those markets, someone who's doing a dishwasher, a soap, someone who's manufacturing, furniture, etc., etc. Those people are therefore going to be, those who are currently employed are therefore going to be able to take a risk because they know there is a market where they can sell their produces. So it's incumbent on you before you manufacture to support first. You've got to support the initiative. It's on the 19th of December. Imbali, Ndumiso, DUT University, Durban University of Technology, Imbali, DUT Ndumiso. Mr. Martin has given us the details. If you can give us the details once more, the sectors, and then how how do they apply to get the details?
So the fresh produce, I think we've taken care of, but there will be food stands. So please, if you have a recipe that you'd like to sell or your passion is cooking, there'll be space for you. painters, sculptors, people who manufacture furniture, artists, bring your produce, bring it. The stands are free. You will need to bring possibly an afdak and a table just to present on, because for now, we're not sure what resources we'll be able to put. So I think bring your own stand. And then the IT services, if you're a lawyer, if you're a plumber, if you're a builder, if you're a mechanic, if you're a welder, bring yourself and your business.
Right.
We say ABC, always be selling. And this is a platform for you to do it.
Right.
And then if you're a poet and you'd like to come along. If you're a singer, come along. And I'd just like to call up the I want to go it's not easy. Email address, colleagues, is pagama, the Zulu word pagama, at umdm.gov.za. And you can also call Mr. Oscar Dlomo. Oscar is driving it from our side and he's coordinating it. So if you're wanting to exhibit, this is a number, 072 933 3757. I'll say it again, 072 933 3757. Mr. Oscar Dlomo. You can contact Oscar. He'll email you the forms, and then we'll go through the process of registration, give you more details.
The email address again?
The email address again is pagama, is the Zulu word pagama, at gov.za, at gov.za. I beg your pardon, pagama at UMDM, Umgungundlovu District Municipality, umdm.gov.za.
Thanks a lot, James. Yeah. Now, Matapelo, do you want to wrap up for us and then we conclude?
I just need to say thank you. Thank you for this platform. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Mr. Kambula, I'm not sure if I'm closing or you are.
You're closing.
Always be. Okay. Mr. Martins, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you for the contribution that you make within the job that you're doing. And we are so grateful that everyday entrepreneurs are exposed to markets and platforms which you are creating, working hard every day to make sure that there are platforms that can help the South African economy. So in Sesotho, I would say, which means that we thank you for the diligence that you do within your work. And for that, we'll always be grateful to say there is always a platform and people who are working tirelessly, such as yourself, to make sure that platforms such as these exist. And it is only our pleasure to have the golden chair and let people know that there are platforms such as this one and that there is always an opportunity that they can grab. So thank you so much for that.
Great. Thanks, James. We're going to invite you next time to get into the corridor. We need more details on the corridor. Yeah, I think sometime in the new year.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.